future. So start off with our president's picture of a northern pintail along Pennyfield CNO Canal. I just like the action of this.
Very nice.
They've been around now for a while. I don't know why they sort of drained the water along the upstream of the Pennyfield Lock. And so where they were hanging out is all dry now. So they moved into the impoundment, which has lots of water. So I'm not the second impoundment, so I don't know what's going on.
Now, you know, that bird did not, I could not see a tail. Did anyone, this was the first one that was there, I think. Did anyone noticed the characteristic long tail or pintail?
I don't think any of them had a real long tail now at this point.
Is it a question of at this time of the year, they're not supposed to have it, or?
I don't know.
Okay.
Somebody might, somebody probably does.
And I was there on Sunday and I couldn't find the pintails. I saw the widgeons and the mallards, but not the pintails.
Yeah, neither this morning either.
Now there's also a female pintail in there, and that can be missed as maybe as a widgeon.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll look harder. Because I'm doing the count there, so I want to make sure and get it if it's there.
Sure.
I like this Peregrine Falcon by Jim Ivan.
Nice.
Very nice.
Along Montevideo Road.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is a shy black-crowned night by
Great.
Jared Fisher.
Beautiful.
Love it.
I really like the fact that the black-crowned night herons have been prominent at Lake Whetstone.
That's great.
There's
Wow.
Nice.
Lovely.
Black Sparrow by Ann Midick. This is a red gate.
It's my favorite sparrow.
Oh,
That's a good one.
Mark sent me this picture. I really like this golden crown kinglet. You can even see a little bit of the red.
The red.
You
yeah.
don't see very often.
Gorgeous. Oh.
And we had a Rufus hummingbird in Silver Spring, and the people there were very generous to people come see it. This is a picture by Max Wilson.
Beautiful.
Great.
Beautiful detail.
Yeah.
Female.
Yes.
Oh. Wow.
This will be the subject partly of my science tidbits tonight too. Mary Lou Clark has some long-tailed ducks at Tridelphia. Sandra Rosenhaus has a nice green-winged teal. It's not always easy to get too close to one. This was along the CNO Canal at the Marsden track. I actually don't know where that is, but I know it's south of Pennyfield. I think it's south.
Yeah, Brickyard,
Great Falls.
it's it's before you arrive at the place that has the restaurant when on your way to Great Falls.
Angler's Inn.
Old Anglo.
Yeah, before you arrive there, there's a path that takes you to the canal and also to part B or C of the Billy Goat Trail.
Okay.
It's just off Brickyard Road where it hits River Road or MacArthur.
And here she has a gadwall. I think it's a juvenile. And Chris Wright saw the tundra swan that's been up at Little Seneca Lake. There's a little bit of yellow
Beautiful.
in front of the eye,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really show up in this too well. Let's see if I can I do this? Just wanna, okay, 'cause you can see the laser pointer.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that'll be for future use maybe. And I thought I'd
Oh,
end up
wow.
with a wood duck.
That's
Holiday,
cool.
holiday
Gorgeous.
colors.
Love,
Yes,
love,
that's right.
love.
It looks like at each meeting there's a even more colorful wood duck than previously. It's great.
I just love them. Okay, intermission. Fill up your glasses, get a piece of cheese.
That's right. Raise our glasses for those who arrived in the after the first toast.
I'm gonna talk with my mouth full now. So I'm gonna do a science tidbits about the Merlin ID. Maybe most of you use this or have it on your cell phones. I find it handy. I'm not sure of something, or just if I just want to check so I don't make a fool of myself, to see what it says about a picture I've taken. So basically it's AI, and this is from their website. It says, how does photo ID work? Recent computer vision and machine learning advances, which coupled with growing image resources of Macaulay Library uploaded by thousands of eBird users, have allowed us to create photo identification models that run on mobile devices. These models run through thousands of images for each species and look for patterns that are shared between all photos of a single species. With enough images, the photo ID tool can correctly identify images of birds in different postures and from different angles. And then they add, the photo ID tool will continue to improve as more images are uploaded to Macaulay Library. Well, is this actually true? And this might not be the case with infrequently reviewed birds. They might only be verified if part of a study or someone happens to come across an incorrectly identified bird. You know, it's the story, garbage in, garbage out. If two generally unreviewed similar species are being added to each other's database, both databases will be contaminated.
Mm.
So let's look at the case of the female rufous hummingbirds versus Allen's hummingbirds. So the genus Celisphorus contains the following 9 species, including the 2 we'll talk about, rufous hummingbird and Allen's hummingbird. And they split, or started the split, about 1 million years ago by best estimates. So if you go to the eBird page for Allen's hummingbird, you get a nice picture of this male here. And then there's this female up in the right. Okay, so I took that picture of that female, and I ran Merlin Photo ID on it. First most positive possibility was a rufous hummingbird. The Allen's hummingbird came in second. It's pretty close, but even their own exemplar that they have on their homepage was misidentified by Merlin ID. So that's what it should have picked. What about rufous hummingbird? So I did the same thing. I picked their example of a female or immature male and ran it through Merlin Photo ID. This time it got it right. Second was broad-tailed hummingbird. I don't know what that means, but anyhow, that would be, that would make more sense. So let's look at these 2 hummingbirds in a little bit more detail just for fun, and while we're drinking our wine. So these are eBird reports for the rufous hummingbird on the left. And you can see it goes all the way from Alaska down into Mexico. And there are sightings all the way to the East Coast. Allen's hummingbird is mostly in California, especially in Southern California, but there are reports in the East as well. This is the maps that eBird shows for different seasons. So the orange for the rufous and for the Allens is where they're breeding. Yellow is sort of migratory, and blue is where they winter, some of them winter. There is a population of the Allen's hummingbird that stays in California, it doesn't migrate. To notice that there is a area of breeding areas which are in common to the two species. And a recent study by Myers et al. Looked at behavioral and morphological evidence for the existence of hybrids. And believe it or not, it hadn't really been known, although it had been suspected that there were. And they used a lot of behavioral and morphological measurements, and would use a special statistical method to use those measurements to figure out if a bird was a pure rufous or an Allen's or a hybrid. And they were pretty sure that they had pure ones if they went to Southern California for the Allens or into Alaska for the rufous ones. But along this border, this is the California-Oregon border here, you could see that the prevalence of hybrids really increased here. And then it started to fade out in terms of less hybrids and more just pure rufous.
And so, Scott, was this strictly visual, or did they do some genetics as well?
So it was very interesting. They did not do genetics, and that's one of the weaknesses of all these, I think is a weakness of all the studies. They said that they saved blood for eventual genetics, so maybe that'll come out in the near future. So what they did was they looked at those characteristics which seem to define the species at the extremes, Alaska for the rufous or Southern California. And during the mating season, not during migration. And then Southern California for the Allens. So, and I'll show you some of those criteria that they used. It's really pretty interesting. So here they have 4 examples of mostly pure rufous hummingbirds from this part of Oregon. Then they got these hybrids from near the border, and then they have an Allen's from south. And what they'll say, what you read for the most part, for example, is that the rufuses the males have an orange or rufous back, and the Allens have a green back, but 10% of Alaska male rufous hummingbirds have all green backs. So you need to be sure, you need to look at all these behavioral and morphological characteristics of the bird that you've studied and captured. And that would include their courtship displays. And they have different courtship displays. They have some overlapping ones, but they have some ones that are really different between the two. The morphologically, the tail feathers, the outer 3 rectrices are thinner for the rufous, the Allens compared to the rufous, and the number 2 rectrix has a notch here, which the Allen doesn't have. They also, when they do their courtship displays, they have this diving behavior, and when they're diving, they make noise with one of their tail feathers. And in the case of the rufous hummingbird, the vibration of the second rectrix is what makes the noise at about 0.8 kilohertz. And the Allen's has, uses the third retrix to vibrate. And it has a frequency of 1.8. And they figured that if there's hybridizations, you'll see patterns of color that could be intermediate. So here you have this more southern hybrid that's got a little bit more green, and then you have a more northern hybrid that has a bit more red. But they thought that the genetic programming of the birds determines if it's going to use the R2 or the R3. They can't use both birds. So you're going to have either frequencies in the upper range or at the low range and nothing in between. And I'm not going to show you the graph, but that's actually what they found. So that sort of goes along with what they see morphologically in terms of what's going on with the tails. They don't really see, I don't think, if I don't remember correctly, intermediates without, they either have a notch or they don't have a notch. And that gives this frequency without the notch because they use R3 or they use R2 when they have this frequency.
It's fascinating to think about how they figured out that R2 was the one making the noise in the rufous and that
Yes.
R3 was making it in the other. This is a very fast moving bird when it's diving. Did they wind tunnel test the feathers, or how do you even figure this out? It's amazing.
Did
That's a
they
good
cut?
question.
Did they cut one of the tails from one?
So this is an active motor pattern that they use on the feather. And as far as I understand, and what I believe they did, and I don't know this, I'm just speculating now, is that they have high-speed video,
Yeah.
and they were able to see which feather was vibrating.
Or slow speed.
I'm not positive. But this article here is really extensive if you want to dig into it. But yeah, it's they put a lot of work into it, and they do have the blood, and it'll be interesting to see how it works with the genetics. So for Merlin ID, when you use it to identify a bird, here are some of the considerations you should take into account. The location. I mean, if they're widely separated and they're not in the range that they're ever a closely related species is found, then you're probably not seeing that when you're seeing the one that's in that location. Time of year could be important as well. The use of multiple photos that you might take, especially if they include some sort of diagnostic feature like that notch.
People mute if you're not, because we're getting some interference with Scott. Everybody mute, please.
So like I said, use of multiple photos that you might take, especially if they include a diagnostic feature. But how do we know if that diagnostic feature is species specific? Hopefully we're learning more and more about that, and that becomes more substantiated. And as I said before, and I always say, you need to correlate features with the genetics. And then there's the question of hybridizations. Are you actually seeing a hybrid or not? And then to take a little bit of a detour, I just thought I'd mention, I don't know, maybe everybody knows about this, but you can talk about species based on how they're related to similar species in terms of how they're related to each other by separation. So allopatric populations are actually geographically separated from each other. They could be like in the Galapagos, you could have birds on different islands, for example. Peripatetic populations would be in the same area, but there's something about the environment that they prefer. So one species might like water bugs and the other one likes bugs up in the trees or something like that, but something that separates them so that they don't, so that they're different. And sympatric species actually share the same ecological niche, but they might have different feather patterns, different colors, which have led and has become prominent in the separation of those species. Okay, take another sip of wine. Any questions or?
Scott, this is Jim. One comment on the photo stuff and eBird is actually, if you read some of the details where they talk about uploading photos and so on, they're actually, Cornell is encouraging folks to upload their crappier photos too, because part of the machine learning is not pristine, marvelous, high quality photo images of the birds, but not so good images to help the system learn to identify it better in the more extreme ones. So I've actually taken to adding some of my not so good shots when I put shots up on a species. If I've got some that are a little out of focus or whatever, I'll include them because they actually want these ones. Or they tell you to rate your photos from 1 to 5, and 1s and 2s are very helpful to the system, because if you're confident what the bird is and you correctly identified it and you have a better shot, and then there's a worse one, then the machine learning benefits from working with the not so good photos.
And it's not just the blurry versus whatever, it's also like the back of the bird.
Yep.
Because I've come to take in that as well too.
Yeah, different
the same-
different
it's the same
views,
thing.
different lighting conditions, lots of things can be useful.
I think that's a good point. And the only thing I would say is you really need to know that you are uploading a picture of the species you say you are. If if you're just guessing, then you might be hurting the AI.
Yeah, typically I do it when I have a good shot. I know what the bird was I shot, but I also got some images that didn't turn out very well, or the thing was hidden or something, and those I try to include as well.
I think that's great. I'm too embarrassed to put my bad pictures up.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and then it makes you feel good when you have a lousy photo. You can say that you did it on purpose because eBirds needs them.
Yeah, maybe I'll put a caption on my bad pictures. I'm only doing this because eBird wants me to.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Macaulay Library should set up a place where you can send your crappy photos with your ID, but you don't actually have to put your name on them.
Right. That's
Which
why,
is-
maybe that's why there's so
But
many
not-
anonymous birders.
I have found that same thing to be helpful in just looking at pictures of a bird that's a tricky ID and it's being seen somewhere and it's rare and you want to identify it once you're there. And assuming that the pictures that are on eBird of that bird are, correctly identified. The ones that are not such great photographs are often very helpful in trying to get an idea of what it looks like, because your view may not be so great.
Yeah. I mean, I may have just happened to have stumbled upon an incident, with the female hummingbirds that are not typical of what happens.
Mhm.
Well, and the field guides all talk about the difficulty of separating Allens and Rufus anyway. So the fact that an AI would have difficulty is, even really good birders can sometimes be wrong on those two.
Yeah. I have a lot of faith in AI, so I think that actually it's probably having my preference is to think that they're not getting the greatest. They're not getting for sure Rufus or Allens into the right spot, but I don't know. Okay.
That's great.
Let me talk about something else that's new to eBird. Some of you probably know about eBird trip reports that started in December. And I'll give you a little bit of information about how it works, what it does. I haven't used it yet in terms of sharing with other people, but I'll explain how that could be really fun to do. So I'm going to use an example from a trip of mine. I went out to Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho at the end of June. Some other people we know who were there, such as Evelyn and Woody and Ray. And I don't know what they were doing out there. Yeah. So we all went on this trip, and what you do is you go to the eBird trips and you say, I want to make an eBird trip, and you tell it what dates to select from or what period of time to select from your list of checklists. So I picked between June 23rd and July 2nd, and it produced a report. So you can see all the places that I had checklists listed in the area from up here in Montana down into Idaho, Twin Falls. And it gives me a report, said that on this trip, I found, or I saw or heard or observed 175 species through 77 checklists. I had 110 species, of which I got photos, and 7 species with audio. And down in the little part here, it says that I found 30 lifers. I got 30 new pictures of birds, or pictures of birds that I didn't have pictures of before. And usually that's the lifer, but it could be a bird I'd seen before and never was able to get a picture of. And also I got 6 new audio files of birds that I hadn't had audio files before. So I'm just gonna do a quick little video and then go through it in more detail so you can see exactly how it works. So here we'll get going here. So you can see I'm showing again where we were. I'm now picking the 77 checklists, and so you can see at the website what's going on. You can look at the species with photos, and you can see the photos for those species with photos. Similarly, you can look at the sounds that you capture. Now I'm toggling on the 30 lifers that I found. Toggle off, and now the 30 species that for which I now have photos that I didn't have before.
Fabulous.
And sounds as well. Then I'm going back to the lifers, and I'm going to show you all the details that it will now show me. So it shows the pictures I took. It shows the checklists for each species, and the audios as well. So it's kind of fun to go back and look at your trips that way. I mean, it doesn't have to be, I mean, it could just be all the birds you saw in the month of December in Montgomery County or something like that, or, you know, December. So again, here's looking at the whole list, and you can see that they have these little marks by the names of some of the birds. So the check mark means it was a live bird that you found. These little, I don't know what you call other little cameras are the ones you got pictures for the first time. So I'd seen a cinnamon tail before, but I never had a picture of it. So now I have a picture of it. And like I said, you can toggle on or off the life birds, birds with pictures, or you can show all the details by clicking on here. Then you can see the pictures of the birds and the checklists. If there's a sound file, the sound file will be there as well. Here's the sound files and pictures, I guess. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe in the future, Jim, it'll make your life easier. The people on a sector of the bird count might all input their birds into that day, and they will all show up as a count in that sector. But I'm going to try that this Sunday. It's not going to be how we have the final tally. That'll still be the normal way with the tally sheets, but it might be interesting to see what people in my sector are finding during the course of the day, because they will populate a one-day trip report that I've created.
So you can combine trip lists, checklists from different individuals into a common trip report.
Right. And apparently, I think that's what eBird wants and what Cornell wants people to do in the future. But I think it's too new for this year. But it means that everybody also has to be part of eBird. But I guess you can always add things like tally sheets as well too.
Great.
That would eliminate the problem of duplicate lists for one trip too.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't in the eBird database, because if 5 people are on the trip and they all separately do their own lists, that's 5 lists in the database that the database doesn't know are the same folks. And I don't know if this function will allow them to do that, whereas the right way to do it is to share among the 5 people.
Yeah, so that happens, it gets shared. I saw a presentation that Cornell gave, and you could turn off each, it doesn't get confused, but I don't know how it works yet because I haven't had experience with sharing the list yet, but they have that figured out so that if you and I are on the same trip and we both see a mallard, we only see one. It's not going to come up as 2 mallards. It's going to be just one. I don't know if it's shared the way it is now somehow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was referring to the current situation without the trip report idea, that if 5 people go on a field trip and they all independently do an eBird checklist,
right,
rather than having one person do it and share it with the other 4, then the database has 5 different checklists and doesn't know that they're all the same trip.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Which is why I encourage people to do the sharing thing when more than one eBirder is on the same itinerary.
Yeah, I like
this is what eBird is doing behind the scenes with us. Even though we submit different checklists, they're probably somehow washing them together. And this is now sort of coming out in public with how to do it.
I certainly like sharing because if I'm not doing the list, then it gives me more time to concentrate on the birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see how that goes. I found it kind of fun to create some of my own trip reports and just to look at them and see. It's like, okay, so that was the intermission. All right, now we come to the mystery bird part. Okay, now I'm going to give 30 seconds for each bird. Does everybody have a paper and pencil? I should have told everybody to get a paper and pencil. If you want to keep track of how you're doing, then you should, but you probably can remember too. Write down what you think over the 30 seconds, and then after we go through all the mystery birds, then I will do a reveal. Okay.
So you don't want people blurting out their guesses?
No, I think we'll try to keep it to yourselves and see how we do.
So we should all mute.
Okay.
Don't you want to hear the groans when we don't know?
Scott, how many birds, mystery birds are there?
Yeah, I was just thinking you'd ask me that, or somebody would ask me that. I think it's like 11 or 12.
Okay, one piece of paper should suffice.
Yeah. You can always use the 4-letter abbreviations. Okay, so good luck and have fun. Don't worry if you don't know them, because some of them are impossible, I think. If some of you get some of these, I'll be really, really impressed. Yeah, 30 seconds. This is how I make time for the presentation to take up more time during the meeting.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Were these birds photographed anywhere in the world, or?
No, they're all photographed in Montgomery County, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, one's in Howard County.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so here's the next one. Most of them I took. A lot of them are, any ones that other people take will get attributions on the slide. And you can blame them for those pictures. My timer is making noise. Maybe it's to make you nervous.
It's your version of the Jeopardy music.
Exactly. Maybe that's what I should have got. Okay. Stop it. I pixelated this a little bit to make it a little harder.
It's a good one for the bad photos in Macaulay for training the AI.
Yeah.
Yes.
This one by Evelyn. I think they get a little bit more difficult after this. Let's see.
Hmm.
Backyard bird. Time's up. Another one, another bird. This is from Gabriel. I should have tested Merlin on all these. And nobody should do that now. No cheating.
I was just gonna say, you mean we're not allowed to do that?
You can do anything you want.
You can test it on iNaturalist too, test in both places.
Ugh.
Oh, geez.
Backyard bird.
Yes.
Sure.
Bathroom.
Now, if I were Robin Skinner, then yeah, that could be a backyard bird. She has the most number of birds I can think of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's just mean. Or maybe not.
Good. I can have another glass of wine while you're working.
Yeah.
This is from Evelyn.
Apologies.
You should-
Again, it
you
is
should-
to help eBird.
You should be able to get your two, Evelyn.
Is that definitely a bird, Evelyn?
I say it's looking very
Sure.
rather mammalian.
That's what she
Wow,
says.
funny.
She says it's a
Yeah,
bird.
because I have photos of the same thing and it looks really like a bird.
I forgot to stop the timer. Does anybody need more time?
Time's not gonna help.
Okay.
Right. Oh,
That's a nice photo. I like it.
These are the ones I'll be impressed if somebody guesses them, but it's possible.
Huh.
Remember, these are backyard birds. We're not talking anything too exotic here. It's gray.
Hmm.
No.
Okay. That's one of mine, isn't it?
You're just getting a stalt here.
Uh,
I wonder if the AI could do something with this.
hmm.
All right.
Oh. Hmm.
That's actually a really cool picture.
Yeah, it is very.
Okay, I'm going to give you another version of this to help out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm. Hmm.
Does the head belong to the same bird?
Yes, it's all one bird.
This is one bird. Okay.
Yep.
where's the bird?
Oh, my.
Is that a common backyard bird?
That's on your backyard. It's not an
It's in a
uncommon.
Korean spice bush, if that helps.
It's not an uncommon bird in the county.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, this is for extra credit almost. Let's casting the shadow there.
Oh, I see. There's a shadow. Okay.
Yeah. The shadow is outlined.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the latest proof that there's an ivory-billed woodpecker that's still alive.
It could be.
Scott, I should have submitted those mystery feathers from my yard that turned out to belong to my neighbor's chickens.
I don't know. Chickens aren't birds, are they? Because they're not on the eBird checklist.
Yes, they are, because they count in Key West.
Do they?
And for some of us, they're a common backyard bird.
One more shadow.
Hmm.
Oh, I see.
Is that a whale or an orca?
I'll give you a hint. It's
Looks like the Loch Ness Monster.
It's
Uh-huh.
along the Potomac River. That might throw you off. I don't know, but that's where it was.
Oh.
Okay, extra credit.
Pterodactyl. No, sorry.
Yes.
I was just gonna say.
Okay, so that's the mystery birds.
Oh, that was
comments?
tough.
So we'll go through them and you see how you did. Like I said, some of them are probably impossible, but I thought I'd throw them out there to see if they were fun or not. So this was the first one. Anybody want to say what they think it is?
House
That's
finch.
it.
That's Finch.
Spinach, yeah. Yay.
Suggestions?
Carolina Wren.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, I was so off.
Mallard.
Alert.
Mallard.
Yeah, like,
It's like a
Those ones so
seal.
hard.
You got that one down.
I got a whole super.
Sterling.
darling.
Darling.
Or is it Eurasian starling? Sorry.
Fox sparrow.
Fox sparrow.
Yep.
That's nice.
Cooper.
Cooper's.
Is that a Cooper?
That's what I had.
Oh,
Wow.
shoulder.
Uh-huh.
The number of bars,
Yeah.
narrow
Darn.
bars.
That one came second. This was first.
Merlin.
Merlin.
Merlin?
Merlin.
Oh.
Almost.
That was a
Oh,
falcon. It's a falcon.
Very green.
Do that, if you can see you.
We know, you must know what this is, right?
Egret.
Is that that? Where's that?
Avocet?
Wood stork.
Wood stork.
Oh,
Yeah.
Our visitor.
of course.
That's a great photo.
Yeah.
This is a palm warbler, maybe.
Yep.
Ah, good.
Well done.
Oh, it is so hard without a size reference.
Yeah.
But that yellow undertail cover was it, I thought was a
And
good.
the head, shape and.
But the yellow, I didn't see yellow.
Sloth.
Anybody have guesses for this?
Koala bear.
Carolina chickadee.
Is that a
funny.
chickadee?
It's a small bird. It's a small common bird.
Junco.
It's
a
bird.
Oh,
Yeah,
I heard chickadee.
Yep.
People said chickadee.
Chickadee, yep,
It's very good, Erica.
yeah.
Titmouse.
Gnatcatcher.
Titmouse.
Gnatcatcher.
Oh, titmouse?
Mockingbird.
Catbird.
Ethereal ghost bird.
Ah.
Bird, yay.
Somebody said that.
I said
Oh.
mockingbird.
Oh.
Great.
Uh,
If this means it's not impossible, then.
Possible.
White-throated sparrow.
Yeah.
Second picture's not great, but it's the one that was
I had the yellow lures.
Mhm.
not a great picture, but it was unfocused. This one was more in focus.
Pine warbler.
Warbler.
That's your pine warbler.
That's my pine warbler.
Yeah.
Are you still seeing it at your feeder?
I saw it a couple days ago. And,
Oh,
and
really?
I got an email from Jim telling me it's got to show up Thursday through Sunday.
Have you told it?
I think I might spend all day Friday or something looking out the kitchen window. Alice will have to do it from the feeder watch on Sunday. Got it last year.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Affiliated woodpecker.
Affiliated.
Good. I got that right.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, affiliated.
Good job.
Eastern towhee.
Oh,
That was my guess.
porcupine.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Porcupine? Did somebody say porcupine?
Porcupine bird.
Very, very small sage grouse.
God.
What?
A mini turkey.
I thought I heard somebody say it. but
Joey.
Joey.
No.
No,
Eastern towing?
It is-
come on.
You see anything here?
Oh.
Ah.
I never looked at
Oh.
Did you say common yard bird?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, come
I said,
on.
I said a not uncommon county bird.
Mm.
So You can see the bill
An
here.
Uncommon county bird, but there you
And,
go.
Wow.
I'm still waiting to see one with that view in the county.
Mhm.
Well,
With any view.
Yeah.
you know, so I found this on Goody Trail, saw it 2 days in a row. And it's the first time I've ever seen, or actually first time I've been able to take a picture, I mean, of a woodcock in the daytime. You know, I've seen them at night with Jim Green out
Wow.
at
Yeah.
but this is the first one in the daytime, and even still it was kind of camouflaged, or at least hidden.
Yeah.
So that's a misdirect. I think it's the brown creeper on the left side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's a creeper, creeper, creeper.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that creeper. Mhm.
that was,
And it was, but that's its shadow.
yeah. Great.
Got that one right.
That's cool.
I don't know.
Uh,
Key, but
I'm going
cool.
with GBH.
Is it a solitary sandpiper?
You know,
Spot it?
That's why I thought it would throw you off with the.
Belgian.
I thought it was a mourning dove.
I thought.
Oh,
Dolly.
oh,
Winter wind.
great photo.
Showing off, Fred.
Uh,
Nice picture.
How else do I not finish?
Billy,
That's
I was right. I said pterodactyl.
Yes, but which species of?
I have no
Pterodactyl Verdi.
exactly.
In whose backyard is that one, Scott?
This is the one. This is actually in Blandare Park in Howard County. It's a really great park for kids, and they have lots of stuff. So including pterodactyls.
It's Quetzalcoatlus, I think.
Okay.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Birds of the month to start with. Now we'll have the birds of the year by the members. Again, my personal favorites. How can we forget the painted bunting? Are you seeing a square that's it's lit up differently than the picture? I don't
Yeah, it
know.
looks fine for here.
Okay,
Good
good.
here, yeah.
Good.
Something on my end then.
Huh.
We had an eruption of grosbeaks in the winter, which was really nice at Riley's.
Yeah.
One of the pictures by Clyde. Did I do that right? Okay. Whoops. Okay. Screech owl that Ed Vigezzi found on the CBC, I think. And then,
Yeah, that's right.
and then lots of people got a chance to see it along
Yeah.
Muddy Branch Trail. Really a cute bird.
Uh,
I'd never seen a screech owl before, and I'd never seen a red morph, obviously. Woody and Ray found this snow goose up at Homestead Farm
In the snow.
in the snow.
Oh, yeah.
This rough-legged hawk was seen first at Oaks landfill that Mark found, and then later found further north in Damascus by Robin Skinner, and I guess this picture by Max. Pine-billed grebe by Jim Nelson. Here's Hollow. That's a great picture, Jim.
That's a great picture.
yeah.
Oh, Macaulay needs that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's our Rockville superstars.
Great red eye.
Yeah.
This is the kite. This picture by Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm somehow it's skipping here. And so here's the juvenile. So the mating, the second in Maryland that we know of was successful. Here's a juvenile picture that Frank took. roseate spoonbill. We had quite a number in the county. Here's a really nice one that Gail took at Sligo Creek Golf Course. I think you may have been the only one who saw it there. I'm not sure.
Harry and I were, and also a couple of the golfers who are birders, but they didn't do an eBird list or anything, but they're the ones who identified it and called the park and said that, there's a roseate spoonbill in the golf course. Park called me because I've been doing a bird survey there, for the park this summer. Nothing, it's a point count thing, nothing to do with the breeding bird atlas. And so they couldn't get over there, but they knew I lived close. So they said, can you go over there? So I went over there and they gave us a big hassle, but finally took us out on the golf cart. And I managed to get some pictures in about 3 minutes, and I had to rush back because the next group of golfers were coming. So
It's quite a year for spoonbills. I was talking to Dave Zaplick, and I think he said something like, I've seen more spoonbills this month along violets than I've seen sandpipers. So
Wow.
yeah, I've got a nice video of the one that was down at Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens. I mean, in DC, I think it was the first record. Pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a great bird to see.
It's a beautiful bird.
And a bunch in Virginia too.
So then there's obviously the wood stork that was around for several weeks. It's a picture by Max. I think this is the first day or the second day that it was.
Does it have a crawfish in its in its bill, or?
Looks
Yes,
like.
it looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
Sanderling, but I took a picture of at Lake Whetstone.
Yeah, when they drew it down.
I love this picture. This is gorgeous. Palm warbler by Frank.
Looks like it's in the snow, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Beautiful.
Great composition, Redgate Park. Jared took a picture and actually found these cattle egrets along Germantown Road. This in some normal neighborhoods, although there was a farming area in the back, I guess, but still, they spent a lot of time just in the yards of these people. And then there was a second Rufous hummingbird this year, so in the county. So we've had two so far. This is a picture that Jared took, and you see the notch there. So that's good indication that this is a Rufous hummingbird.
Yeah.
Either that or some sort of hybrid, but
I
definitely.
don't see a notch.
Maybe it's my imagination.
No, it's very subtle, but it's there.
Have you compared the markings on the throat of that bird to the other photo you had? Because they look kind of similar. I wonder if it's the same bird. The one from the Silver Spring bird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Jared might be able to do that since he's coordinated these birds.
Right.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. So, happy
Wow.
holidays. And,
Beautiful.
We
Nicely
need
done.
a few of these
Lovely.
to show up like this winter.
Is this Mark's snowy owl?
No, I don't think so.
no.
This is-
And I actually don't, I might have seen this in Minnesota. I don't remember.
Mark, was the snowy owl you so heavily marked? I mean, or
Yeah, it was a probable